On this debut episode of Pop Vultures podcast, we're going to discuss the potential leak of Halloween Ends, the future of the Predator franchise, what's going on with the Flash movie, and much, much more. All coming up on Pop Vultures podcast's premiere episode. Hello everyone and welcome to Pop Vultures podcast episode 1. We are here to deliver you all your movie, TV, video game and pop culture news. Now, we have recently scrapped our original podcast called Louder Pop Culture Podcast and replaced it with this one. Now, a lot of you might ask that have watched our previous podcast what the difference is and what we're doing differently. Well, we're doing a lot differently and there's a lot more preparation that goes into the episodes, so get ready because everything you hear that I read is written by me, and I'm not the best writer. Anyway, let's continue. I am your host, Tommy West, and joining me as always is my co-host, Alanis Maximus.
Me.
And with that, we're going to get straight into our movie news, featuring some news on Halloween, Predator, and The Flash. Now we're going to bring up our first story. Halloween Ends plot has potentially been leaked. Now, with that, this is what's happened. Halloween and the final chapter in the new requel trilogy for the Halloween franchise has seemingly been leaked. If reports are anything to go by, this may be a shocking and upsetting thing to happen to the fans of Michael Myers and this franchise as a whole. Halloween Ends is releasing this coming October and has been going through some test screenings over the past few weeks. And while we have seen some reports of the film getting positive responses to begin with, we are now beginning to hear a lot more negative responses trickling out from audiences who have watched this during those test screenings. If these reports are true and anything to go by, the plot summary goes a little like this. Now, before I go into it, this is a warning for potential spoilers. So if you're worried, stop watching. But this plot summary has been taken by giantfreakingrobot.com, and the plot goes like this. The plot for the film seems to not follow Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Allison. Instead, a new character emerges named Corey. Corey is being bullied by the neighborhood kids when he stumbles across a very weak and injured Michael Myers. Myers is hiding from the citizens who attempted to kill him in Halloween Kills. Corey then takes the masks and becomes the pseudo Michael Myers. He goes after those who have bullied him and presumably against those who have wronged him in some way. The test screenings for the film have naturally been bad because of this odd direction the final film is taking. For now, I'm taking these as rumors and not fact, and everyone should do the same that's watching this podcast now. What do we think about this, and do we think this is actually something they're possibly doing? Alanis, you start.
I think it reeks of... I can't remember which Friday the 13th. But there's a Friday the 13th where it's not Jason. I mean, not like the mother, like the first one. It's the mother. But there's one where it's a dude dressed up as Jason, and it smelled stinkily. And if this is true, it also smells stinkily, and I don't like it. And it also smells like cash grabby. Like, if they do this, it's clearly to set it up for more Halloween. To go, hey, Michael, still here. Didn't die.
See,
we like you.
But my question to you is, with what we've seen Halloween 2018 do, Halloween Kills, and now Halloween Ends coming out, do you really think that this is going to be the actual plot or the direction they're going in? Because to me, it seems like from what we've seen with the trailer and what we've seen from the previous 2 installments, this may as well be not even in the requel. It may as well be a completely separate new movie by itself. It doesn't seem to follow the first 2 movies and how the direction they were taking it in that it seemed to be going. So to me, I don't know if this is just potential rumors, if this is made up bullshit, but like, do you see this being what we're going to be getting? Or is this something that you think, is just rumors, as I've said?
I think I'm leaning to that it is a pork pie and not true, because what we've already seen, we've seen Jamie Lee Curtis and Michael Myers facing off. It makes no sense, as you just said. I don't think they'll shoot themselves in the foot like that. That's not.
There's one thing you have to remember though in the trailer, yeah, when you see Michael Myers facing off against Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode. Do you notice that his mask is no longer burnt?
That's a good point. A worrying point.
It's a worrying point.
And if it is the case, this is a terrible idea.
But then again, in the trailer, we also see him get stabbed through the hand, and his hand has already been injured in the previous movie, and it shows that it continues that it's that Michael Myers. So we're getting mixed messaging in this teaser trailer. We're getting mixed messaging by reports of what this potential leak is. So, like, look, many times we've heard things get leaked about movies, and we go see these movies, and it's completely not the case. So, as I said, we're taking these rumors by a grain of salt, but I thought it'd be interesting to discuss because this is potentially big news for anyone that's excited for this Halloween movie. And if it ends up being correct, I don't know what the fans are going to think and how this is going to go down because to begin with, as I said in what I wrote, we originally heard that this movie got standing ovations from test screenings. And now we're hearing people giving it a bad reception at test screenings. So everything right now is just up in the air, and we're just supposed to, I guess, take our best guess. So I am hoping personally that this is not the direction they go in with this movie. I would hate it if it isn't Michael Myers. We've already seen what happens when you make a Halloween movie without Michael Myers, and that was Season of the Witch. And I know that, okay, this is still following the Michael Myers formula, and it's still a slasher movie, but that's not what the point of that is. The point of this is that we want Michael Myers, not some imposter Michael Myers. Do you agree with that, Alanis?
I agree, 100%. And I think it would be the incorrect way to make a requel trilogy to do something like that. Like,
it just feels way too off track,
yeah,
compared to the first two movies. And as I said, with the second movie being sort of like mixed reception, mainly negative, people saying it wasn't a very good movie, I still feel as if that will be recorrected with this third movie coming out, and people will see that the second movie was more of like a middle movie problem, which happened with Jurassic World, where Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was a little bit up in the air until we got Dominion, which answered a lot of people's concerns, even if they were answered in a way that the audience didn't necessarily like. So, I don't know, man. I'm really worried about this news. When I read it, look, I usually don't read articles on plots being spoiled for things I'm really looking forward to, but when I saw that it had potentially been leaked, I thought I should read it because hopefully it's wrong, and if it's not wrong, it'll be interesting to see how they go about this in the movie. If this is the direction they go in, how do you think it's going to be received? And do you think this is going to make the requel much more hated than it already kind of has started to become since Halloween Kills?
Yes. Short and long answer, yes. I can't emphasize how much. If this is true, it's just not good. And it's not going to end good. And that's the bottom line, really.
It makes me worried look, everyone's going to be like, well, it's supposed to be the end. It's supposed to be the last Halloween movie. Like, this is the end of Michael Myers. Well, if that's the case, I hope they end it with a way that seems like Michael Myers ain't coming back, and anyone that wants to start a new movie has to, like, start fresh. I'm going to be worried that if this is the direction they go in, and this person ends up being the new Michael Myers, that people are going to either Blumhouse are going to keep going with Halloween, they're going to renew their license, and they're going to continue with this disastrous plot, or this is the end of this story, and we're going to get a new Halloween movie guaranteed. So, I mean, yeah, I'm concerned, man. I'm really concerned. This is
I'll bring half a slab of beer into the cinema, and if this happens, I'm not going to be sober for that movie.
It's like it's kind of like how it's not the same, but it's a kind of the same. How I don't really feel like taking Scream out of Woodsboro is ever a positive thing, which is why I'm a little nervous about Scream 6 being set in New York, because I really like the Woodsboro backdrop. And I know that we've had Scream 3 set in Hollywood and things like that. And I think Scream 2 was set on a campus in a university completely far away from Woodsboro. But I just am worried about Scream losing that small town sort of feel when it goes to New York. And that's the same thing I'm concerned with Halloween, just in a different regard regarding its plot direction. So I guess we'll wait and see what happens with both of these movies, Scream and Halloween, in the future. But yeah, I'm just praying for Halloween Ends to strike in a way that really pleases everybody, including us. So
Yes.
with that, let's move on to our second story. And this is Predator and the future of the Predator franchise. So, in the wake of Prey being the biggest premiere movie to streaming platform Hulu has ever had since launching in March 2008, many have wondered what the future holds for the Predator franchise. Well, among many other ideas being thrown around the internet at the moment, author Stephen King has chimed in and suggested what he thinks would make for a cool entry into the franchise. In a tweet that the famous author tweeted recently, he wrote, "How about this for a movie idea? Children of the Corn versus Predator. You just need the right star." This wouldn't be the first time Predator has seen a crossover with the two Alien vs. Predator movies we received back in 2004 with Alien vs. Predator, and again in 2007 with Alien vs. Predator Requiem, which were released to overall negative reviews and audience reception. My question to you, Alanis, is what would we like to see from the Predator franchise going forward, and what would we consider a cool crossover for the franchise to try?
I will say get Aliens vs Predator right if you're going to cross over. I don't think doing some meta horror sci-fi crossover is really needed. But for the next steps, there's some ideas going around which I like a lot more. Now, feudal Japan and a disgraced Ronin is actually hunting the Predator through feudal Japan because he failed to protect his master. This is the direction I kind of want to see it go. It needs to focus on the Predator, I think, for the next few movies and make something a little more faithful, in my opinion, and some more solid Predator movies. Then I think if we go back to a crossover, Aliens vs Predator, let's do this right. Aliens needs some strong entries. Predator needs some more. So
as we've said in a previous episode when we were talking about this, I think maybe even in our Prey review we did. We talked about how we feel as if Predator. Okay, so Prey has hit well. It's obviously found a footing with fans. Not everyone's loving it. Not everyone's giving it high praise, including Alanis here. But it seems to have hit better than most Predator movies in the past. And as we've said, I feel like Aliens hasn't had the same sort of reform that it kind of needs to find a footing again. And before we get another Alien versus Predator movie, I think we need to establish the Predator universe a little bit better, as well as the Alien universe a little bit better compared to what it's been portrayed as in previous movies. So I agree with you, an Alien versus Predator would be really good, but I still think we need some Alien movies or a TV show to hit to kind of build that lore up and build the Predator lore up. And as I said in our review, build it into one sort of way that both movies can head and sort of collide. You know what I mean? So build from the ground upwards again, because as I said, Alien Covenant, which was the last Alien movie we got, I believe, was great. I liked it, but it didn't seem to hit and didn't seem to give momentum to the trilogy that they had planned on doing from Covenant onwards. So, I'm in total agreement that I'd like to see a really good Alien versus Predator movie. But let's just think outside the box for a second, and let's think about something completely different that we might see it working with. Because Stephen King mentioning Children of the Corn seems very random to me. It also seems like it could work, but also I'm a bit skeptical. It's a bit outside of the box. So I'm thinking if he's thinking like that, let's just have a fuck around and think about what we could put it together with.
Here's one. Why not go with what they have done in the comics, which was quite enjoyable? Batman vs. Predator. It worked.
Well, I was going to suggest that because we've seen him cross over with Batman. We've seen him cross over with a lot of DC properties. I think another thing that could work in the DC realm, which is, I know it sounds kind of weird, is a Predator versus Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Or if we want to go completely bizarre and off, off script, how about we go Predator versus Napoleon Dynamite?
I was going to say Peter Griffin, so I think we're in the same ballpark there.
Sort of thing, yeah. No, in all honesty, I think it just matches so well with Aliens, and Predator and Batman could be really cool, but again, it's a sort of thing that I think would bode well for DC animation, like so the animated movies, more than it would be a feature film, just because of how vastly different those properties are.
Predator versus In the Night Garden.
Iggly, Piggly, Iggly, Unk. What about something as bizarre as Indiana Jones Predator?
Yeah.
It could work. Indiana Jones goes to look for some fucking valuable item, gets to the jungle, Predator's there. Now he has to face up against the Predator while trying to get this treasure. Hey, I'm just throwing out ideas here. Feel free to take them, Hollywood. Help you write your next Predator crossover. Hopefully we get it before Harrison Ford passes away. I've been waiting for Indiana Jones 5 forever, and every year I'm just like, are we going to even get this thing? Pretty sure we are. I'm pretty sure it's finished production or it's in production, so I'm excited for that.
So he's allowed to die. Please don't. But
Please
you're
don't.
allowed
I
to.
prefer he didn't, because you know what? I know this isn't... Again, they're going to say that this is the last Indiana Jones movie. I highly doubt it, and as much as I highly doubt it, I really don't want it to happen, though. I really don't. I want this to be the last Indiana Jones because I love Indiana Jones, and I don't want them to soil its reputation. Even though Kingdom of the Crystal Skull's already kind of done that, I feel like they could still bring it back for this final movie and just fuck it off and leave it and let it set.
Speaking of bad rumors, yeah.
He's not being replaced by a woman, and I don't care. I'm not trying to be sexist, but Indiana Jones has been iconic for over 30 years, and we need to realize that we can make a new property with a woman that does the same thing. We can call it anything we want to call it. But the moment you replace Harrison Ford's iconic character of Indiana Jones with a female, it doesn't resonate. It doesn't resonate. I'm sorry, but that's going to be my bitch moment for this episode. I'm sorry, but I'm not sexist, as I said. Female power all the way. Make a new movie. Make it a spin-off movie from Indiana Jones and make it Indiana Jones' long-lost daughter or something. I don't care. But do not replace this character, an iconic character of pop culture, with a female 40 years after the movie has already planted itself into pop culture like it has. Anger. With that, we're going to move on to our next story. Unless there's any more Predator ideas you got.
Wallace and Gromit.
Harry Potter and the Predator of the Phoenix. Jack asked me fucking Predator. Doing shopping carts and shit.
Pride, Prejudice, and Predators.
Back to the Predator.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our third story. And this is The Flash. Ezra Miller has spoken out finally. Now, in an episode of our previous podcast last week, we discussed the ongoing situation going on with The Flash movie and the controversy surrounding its lead actor, Ezra Miller. Recently, Ezra Miller has been in multiple news headlines after multiple arrests and other strange behavior, including being accused of having some sort of cult, a weed farm, many guns and ammunition, as well as being involved in a family who went missing after staying with him on his ranch in Vermont. The Flash movie, which is part of the DC Extended Universe, has been hanging in the balance due to all these controversies, and up until now, the fate of the movie being released next year has looked less and less likely. However, reports from earlier today have indicated a change in Ezra Miller's behavior, and this bodes well for the Flash movie's future. Ezra Miller has given a statement that seems to indicate a change in his downward spiral and has shown that he is well aware of the help he needs. The statement, which was given to entertainment website Variety, goes like this. Having recently gone through a time of intense crisis, I now understand that I am suffering complex mental health issues and have begun ongoing treatment. I want to apologize to everyone that I have alarmed and upset with my past behavior. I am committed to doing the necessary work to get back to a healthy, safe, and productive stage in my life. This is a promising sign for the fans of The Flash and everyone excited for this movie's release mid-next year. Here is hoping Miller seeks the treatment he needs and can stay out of trouble from now on. What do we think about this, Alanis?
I think he needs to be held accountable regardless. And I think there's a problem in society that someone in power, someone in Tinseltown can do heinous shit, can alter other people's lives in very negative ways. You go, I'm sorry. They need to have repercussions. He needs to be criminally tried for anything he's done that's criminal. Even if he goes to rich person prison, which shouldn't be a thing, sorry isn't good enough. Like, this is some really disgusting crap he's done here. And if I did the same thing, if I strangled someone because I didn't like the song that was sung at a karaoke night, if I robbed a house and I said, I'm mentally unwell, I'm still going to go in front of a judge and I might not get away with it that lightly. Shouldn't be this division. I think he has to face the music. And I don't know if I trust it. Like, who's to say he's not just going, oh, I'm sorry, and isn't really going to do anything here. He has to, I just don't think sorry cuts it.
I totally agree with what you're saying. The only thing I can see positive out of this is hopefully this means that this family that went missing are safe and sound, because him coming out and saying something wouldn't be enough for the investigation to stop it, like to stop being looked into by whoever's investigating it, including Children's Protective Services in Vermont. Like, that wouldn't just stop if there was still concern for this family. And it seems that has not really gone anywhere. It seems like maybe that's come to an end. The other thing is, I think he can be kind of forgiven for a lot of his mistakes. Like the weed farm, I don't give a fuck about. It's weed. It's legal in most areas. Guns, ammunition. If you want to have that in your property and it's legal or whatever, go for it. Yes, I can't forgive him strangling a female or punching a female or whatever. I also can't forgive the alleged grooming of children that is so reportedly have happened. And I agree that if it was me in the same situation, we'd be heavily looked into. We'd be taken to court. We'd be looking at jail time, possible jail time, or at least very, very severe punishment. And as I said, I can forgive him for a weed farm, for guns. I can forgive him for if this family thought he was something special and wanted to go to his farm and they're unhurt and they agreed to be there and things like that. And it's just a thing of having someone that's sort of unhinged as well as unhinged as him, so she must be sort of unhinged to have gone there and kind of done that with her kids or whatever. So I can forgive all that if that's the way it is, but the grooming of children and the violence towards people and things like that, I find a little harder to forgive, especially the grooming of children. Like, that's just too much for me. But the way I look at it is, if he was actually grooming children, surely there's going to be a case this is going to be looked into further. But we haven't heard anything more about it since it was first kind of reported. So I don't know how much he was grooming these children. I don't know the severity of it. I don't know the intention behind it. We don't know anything. You know what I mean? So while it says he was grooming children, was he grooming children to come live with him to be slaves? Was he grooming them to be sexually interested in these children? There's so many angles to grooming a child, and I'm not saying any are correct or right or we should forgive any of them. What I'm saying is there isn't enough information out there for me to justify forgiving or not forgiving, because I barely know the details behind that part of this story. You know what I mean? So as I said, I'm not forgiving anything he's done, especially if those grooming children accusations are true. Or the violence ones are true, but I just feel like if they are true, why aren't we hearing more from the investigation side of things? Why isn't he going to be going to court for, a jury to decide what's happened, or a judge to give him a penalty for this stuff? How is it that he can just be like, I'm going to seek help and I'm sorry, and yes, the Flash movie's still happening, and that's it? That just makes no sense to me. So to me, there has to be more to all the allegations and everything going on before I can really sit here and throw shade completely at this guy. You know what I mean? It's just a bit hard when the information isn't out there that's kind of backing up these claims. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What are your thoughts after hearing me say that? Again, before you get into your thoughts, I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying that I'm going to forgive this guy if he has been grooming children or blah, blah. I definitely am not. And I'm definitely not trying to cover for this guy, and I'm definitely not trying to make excuses for him. What I will say, though, is I understand mental health. I understand how badly it can impact people and affect people. I mean, I've seen people have mental health issues that would never let their house get damaged, go so crazy that they're lighting things on fire in the middle of their lounge room and things like that. So mental health can severely impact people's awareness or judgment. But I've never seen someone get mentally impacted enough that it's going to cause them to groom children or be violent or malicious to people for absolutely nothing. So, again, I'm not making excuses, but Alanis, what do you think about what I had to say?
I think if he hasn't done anything sinister, then yeah, cool. Then that's okay. If when the truth comes out, one, it's convenient that he's only coming forward now when all this is on the line, and he's like, "Oh, my career." I get it, but yeah. If he's not done something sinister, then he shouldn't be pinned for it. But
see, what upsets me is something I read earlier, and when I was looking into this story to write what I had to write, was something annoyed me, that is he's been filming parts of the Flash in between all these criminal activities he's been a part of up until recently. Yeah, so DC, Warner Discovery, and all those have let this guy keep coming to work with very little punishment and keep him working in between all these different problems he's had in Hawaii and all that sort of stuff. And that really pissed me off, because they should have put a hold to any production on this movie until Ezra Miller had sorted his shit out. And I almost feel like they kind of enabled his behavior because they weren't showing any signs of giving him punishment. And I'm not saying that they're to blame for his actions, but they are certainly to blame for continuing production and not being aware of how severe this problem is. And clearly, if he's mentally unwell, not knowing that, not being professional enough and not being responsible enough to realize that this guy needs mental help and not to be on set shooting a fucking movie. You know what I mean? So,
yes.
I mean, that upset me a bit. And look, as I said, I hope he gets better for his mental health's sake, but that shouldn't excuse any of the actions that are alleged to have happened that actually hold actually hold weight behind those stories, you know? So on that note, though, what are you going to do? Are you seeing this movie or are you not?
I think I might, but I don't know. If
Look,
I see this movie anytime near premiere, it's going to be solely on a professional level of reviewing it with you. I'm not going to. If we're not doing it, I'm going to wait.
Well, look, I'm going to ask you the same question again about if you're going to see it or not when I put this forward to you. Think about how many people worked on this movie, how much money they are going to lose. Think about all the families it feeds. Think about the thousands of people that have a part in these movies, especially in this movie, who have worked tirelessly for years on this. Everything, like all the money that they need for their families, their everything is going to go if this movie gets canned. Everyone's going to suffer from this. So you shouldn't maybe let the one person who's dragged this fucking production down ruin the rest of the movie for you, as hard as it might be to watch this movie in a way without being sort of uncomfortable. I think if you go into it with the mindset that you're going to see it for Michael Keaton, you're going to see it to see the story, and you're going to go in to see it to support all the other actors and filmmakers and people behind the scenes that deserve the credit for making such a great movie. I think if you go in with that mindset to watch it, then maybe it will be a little bit easier and more fun for you to watch. If you look at it from that perspective, now, are you going to go see this movie?
It is a good point. It is. I just don't think I'm going to be. Although, even if he didn't do all this, I don't know how likely I'd see it at the movies if we aren't reviewing it.
Well, we'll definitely be reviewing it, man. We definitely will, because for a long time, this is the first DC movie in a long time that I've wanted to see. And it's only because the Flashpoint Paradox is one of my favorite DC stories. It's one of the best animated DC features. Like, I can watch it all the time. I love it. And that's what this movie is roughly based on. And for me to get the only Flash story I've ever given a fuck about, really, in movie form, and have like all these different Batmans, like Michael Keaton and all this stuff, and have this cool story that just doesn't involve the Flash, but involves Batman in the future and all these cool ass things. Man, I want to see this movie, and I am really hoping that I can go into this movie with the most clean conscience I can, which is why I'm hoping that a lot of these stories don't have too much weight behind them, and that Ezra Miller seeks the help and can kind of turn his public image around by then, because it's still nearly almost a year away, man. So, like, that's a long time between now and then to kind of spring back and hopefully fix these fuck-ups that have occurred over the last 6 months to a year, you know? So, as I said, I'm not excusing him, and I really hope that half of these claims aren't as heavy as they seem to be. I hope everyone's safe that was involved in these situations. But for the movie's sake, I really hope that me and you can go see this with a clean conscience and not go in there feeling dirty for going to see this movie because of who is in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we will definitely be reviewing this movie. As I said, I'm not interested in seeing Aquaman 2 and stuff. I'm happy to review that movie when it hits the 7 seas or when it hits release at home. But for The Flash, with Batman being in it and stuff, I almost feel like I'm going to have to see this movie. So let's just hope it goes forward, and let's hope that the tarnished name that Ezra Miller has given this movie and himself can kind of be reversed. And if not, if we find out he has been guilty this entire time for a lot of everything that's been said, then let's hope he burns at the crucifix.
Yes.
So with that, we're leaving our movie news behind for this week and heading into some video game news, including THQ Nordic's South Park game and the upcoming Disney showcase. Now, with that, we're going to get into the first one, the new South Park game announced at THQ Nordic's showcase, which happened over the weekend. And it was actually unveiled in a very strange way. So here we go. I'm going to read my article that I wrote. over the weekend, THQ Nordic, an Austrian video game publisher who formed in 2014 after acquiring the THQ trademark and then renaming to THQ Nordic in 2016, held a 45-minute digital showcase featuring over 20 upcoming games, including some new announcements that look quite exciting. One of these titles included a brand new South Park game, which was revealed in quite a strange way. The game was revealed right after the final THQ Nordic splash screen was shown, meaning most people who tuned in to watch the showcase would have already tuned out. This final splash stated THQ Nordic still had another 26 games that they had not announced during this showcase. That number of 26 was then scribbled out. This was followed by the South Park Digital Studios logo with the voice of Randy Marsh saying, "Hot, hot, hot, it's coming," which is dialogue from an older episode where Randy is on the toilet. The previous splash screen then reappeared on the screen, but the number of games went from 26 to 25. While this doesn't give us much of an idea of what this game will actually be gameplay and style-wise, the fact that it's coming from South Park Digital Studios gives us an idea that it might be something similar to 2014 South Park The Stick of Truth and 2017's The Fractured Butthole, which were also created by South Park Studios while under the Ubisoft publishing banner during those releases, making this THQ Nordic's first foray into the South Park franchise. Other games in the showcase include a new entry in the Alone in the Dark series, SpongeBob SquarePants series, and Destroy All Humans series. What do me and Alanis think of this, and are we excited? What are our predictions for the game, and do we think it's gonna still look like the TV show like previous games, or head into a 3D direction, which earlier reports have indicated? Alanis.
3D would be interesting. I don't know how that would go. That'd be... Yeah. I think they've got a good formula there. I haven't played the last two games, but everyone I've spoken to that has have good things to say. So I think...
Dude, you have to. Yeah. You have to. You have to play these games. Like, The Stick of Truth is like 12 hours long. 8 hours long, I think. It's like easy. But the second one, The Fractured Butthole, is the one that I know you're going to love the most because of the superhero franchise crossover thing that they're trying to do and bagging each other out for one being DC Comics, the other one for being Marvel Comics, and, you know, that sort of thing. And I just think you'd love these games, man. And, like, dude, I stopped watching South Park for a while, like a fair few seasons before these games released. And when these games came out, bro, I just fell back in love with South Park because I just forgot how funny South Park is. And these games are so, like, these are like basically watching new South Park movies that go for 14 hours, 8 hours, 14 to 20, whatever how long they go for, and are so clever, they're written so smart, and you can explore the town of South Park sort of open worldish, I guess. You can go to Canada, sort of, which is weird. Like, there's all sorts of cool shit. I mean, I suggest you. I highly recommend you play these, Alanis, and anyone out there that hasn't. But I'm thinking because it's coming from South Park Digital Studios, that means Matt and Trey are heavily involved in this, just like they were in the first two. They wrote the script, they did the voices. They made sure the game looked and played the way they wanted it to. Like, everything about it was, like, meticulously planned and thought out by the creators of South Park and South Park Studios, the people who make the TV show. So, with that, Alanis, do you think that they're going to stick in the 2D direction? Because there has been, rumors of them potentially going in a 3D direction. And I know you're saying it would be hard to picture, but remember, we've seen it on Nintendo 64 with the terrible South Park game where you throw fucking snowballs at cows and shoot guns and all that shit. Do you remember that?
Very vaguely, yes.
So, I mean, I know you haven't played the previous two latest games from the South Park team, but do you have any interest in this South Park game, and are you going to play it, or are you thinking you might have to play the other two first, depending on what this game is?
I think, depending on what the game is, I may have to play the other two first, but also, I don't think I'm going to be, if I don't think it's going to be like not playing the first 2 games in the trilogy. I think it's going to be very standalone, so I could probably even start here and go back.
Definitely. What confuses me is how it's not under Ubisoft's banner anymore. It's now gone to THQ Nordic, who bought it. That confuses me because, look, for everyone that wasn't around when this was happening, Ubisoft publishing used to be like, that used to be one of the most exciting like showcases at E3 for me. Like, that Ubisoft used to own just great properties, and lately I don't know what's happened to Ubisoft, because every game they've decided to do has, or to change they've decided to go, or direction they've decided to go in with all their properties, has been the wrong decision, which we discussed with Assassin's Creed. What was it called? Assassin's Creed Infinity. Yeah. Assassin's Creed Infinity, where it's going to be one game that's expanded upon, that's a live service, that's a blah, blah, blah. There's all this bullshit. And then we got Skull and Bones, which is a fucking dumb shit sailing pirate game. And then we got fucking, like, we heard nothing about Beyond Good and Evil 2. There's just so much shit at Ubisoft and nothing of consequence. And, like, I'm very concerned about Assassin's Creed's future, because I think they were onto a winning formula with Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And while Valhalla still followed that same formula, it was overbloated, too long. It just overstayed its welcome, like the Batman. So, with that, I want a happy medium in between Assassin's Creed Origins Odyssey / Valhalla. I want a cool setting. Like, I know you said you didn't like Origins. I was a big fan of Origins because I'm a big ancient Egypt history buff. I watch documentaries on ancient Egypt. I want to go to Egypt to see the pyramids and the Valley of the Kings and all these things. So to me, to be able to virtually explore that place and like go in the pyramids and go to the Valley of the Kings and like collect all these items and do side quests. Like, dude, I was obsessed with that game. Like, I swear I did 140 or something hours in that game, and that's the most I've ever put into an Assassin's Creed game. With Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because it was ancient Greek mythology and stuff like that, I wasn't as heavily into it, which means I never really got over, I think, the 14-hour mark in this game. And with Valhalla, I know for a fact I got like 35 to 40 hours into that game. No, 65 hours into that game, and saw how much was left and was like, bro, like the reason I've got 140 hours on Assassin's Creed Origins is not because that's how long it takes to beat the game. It's because of the exploration, the side quests, all the bullshit that you can do on the side that I just wanted to do and explore. Valhalla, on the other hand, to just finish the story, it was like, dude, this is like fucking 70 hours. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I just want this South Park game to be good. Maybe it going to THQ is a good sign because of what's going on at Ubisoft at the moment. It was also made by Obsidian Games. The other two were made by Obsidian, published by Ubisoft. So this is being published by THQ. I'm not sure if Obsidian are making this. I wouldn't say they are, but I'd say it's probably being published. It's probably being produced by THQ Nordic as well, I'd say. So I'm not sure what we're going to get out of this. I don't know if we're going to get a third game in the sort of like Stick of Truth Fractured Butthole franchise, or if we're getting something completely new. But all I can say is I'm really excited, and I would have included more titles that were featured in this showcase had any of them been super relevant or super exciting. The only ones I mentioned were SpongeBob SquarePants and Destroy All Humans, because those two names stick out to me. I know SpongeBob SquarePants. There's a lot of games in that series. The TV show's been around since I was a kid. And Destroy All Humans also has a bunch of titles that we've already had previously. Do you have any experience with either of those two games? Like any SpongeBob game or any of the Destroy All Humans games?
I actually have the remake of the first Destroy All Humans that I've kind of touched on but haven't spent a lot of time with. SpongeBob, no. I've not played many of the games or anything.
Battle of Bikini Bottom is actually pretty good. It's almost like a Banjo-Kazooie Donkey Kong 64 collectathon where you unlock new areas and you run around collecting things and you jump up here to get the golden piece for Squidward to unlock something, and you know what I mean? So it's like sort of an adventure, open 3D, open platform, game. It's not too bad. I think there's been some SpongeBob Kart Racer or something that wasn't too bad. I mean, I think there's been a couple of SpongeBob games that are half decent, but none of noteworthy except for maybe Battle of Bikini Bottom. But again, I bought that for Quinn and we played it for a little while and shelved it. So it's not the best game either. And I don't have much of a history with Destroy All Humans, so I have nothing really to say on it except the fact that we're getting a new Destroy All Human game. It looks like we're getting Destroy All Humans 2, which we've already gotten, but it's called Reprobed or something like that.
Yeah, it's a remastered version.
Well, there you go. So it's not really a new entry into the franchise as such as it is a remaster. So anyone that's excited for those games, cool. And yeah, I'm more excited for South Park than anything out of that. And I think that it's a very bizarre way that they unveiled that game. What about you?
Yeah, it's an interesting way. Definitely attention-grabbing, but interesting.
Well, they definitely knew that it was their biggest game to finish on, and they also knew... But if you're going to do it like that, I don't understand why you'd wait till half the audience would have tuned out because they thought it was the end. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Very odd way of doing it. And with that, we're going to move on to our final bit of video game news, making it actually our final story of the week. And that is Disney/Marvel video game showcase is coming. And some of the upcoming games that we know of so far that are going to be shown. So, it reads like this. Disney, Lucasfilm, and Marvel will hold a video game direct in September. THQ Nordic's digital showcase may be over, but that doesn't mean that there aren't more showcases coming up to be excited for. With this news yesterday, Disney, Lucasfilm, and Marvel announced their video game showcase on Friday, September 9th, and it also revealed a teaser trailer for the event. This is all taking place coinciding with the D23 Expo, which I'm guessing stands for Disney 23, year 2023. Of course, which is, of course, the Disney Expo. I wrote it down. I don't know why I tried to cover it up in the middle of that. And will feature everything under the Disney umbrella, including, as the title suggests, Lucasfilm, Marvel, and also Pixar and 20th Century Fox, amongst everything else Disney owns, which we all know is almost everything. Here are all the confirmed games seen in the teaser and are known to be going to be shown at the conference so far. Disney's Dreamlight will have a teaser shown, which is an Animal Crossing type game featuring the Disney-owned roster. Marvel's Midnight Suns, the tactics-developed game by the creators of the XCOM saga that will take us to the darkest Marvel. And during the trailer, other properties were teased, including Avatar, Aliens, the new Skydance Marvel game, Disney's new free-to-play racing game, Speedstorm, and Lego Star Wars, plus more. This event will also be hosted by Kinda Funny Games host Blessing Adeoye Jr., who, if anyone doesn't watch Kinda Funny and support those guys, they've been around for a long time, go check them out. Blessing is a young and up-and-coming video game personality on YouTube and other places, Twitch and all that. He seems like a very awesome dude, just like all the other Kinda Funny guys. And I'm looking forward to seeing him host this as well. So with that, Alanis, what do you think about this showcase? Are you excited for it? And are you excited for some of the games I listed? And are you also excited to see the surprises? And what else are you hoping they might show?
I am looking forward to see more on Midnight Suns. Side note, it bothers me that they've misspelt it. It seems weird. But anyway. I think that's what I'm most looking forward to there. I guess new things to be uncovered. Like I'm supposing we're probably going to see something to do with Wolverine on this. So it was kind of teased. Maybe.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like what they're teasing in this teaser trailer that we got with the Wolverine stuff was the upcoming Skydance Marvel project. I think it may be an X-Men game. That's what I'm thinking, yeah? Because Sony with Wolverine and Spider-Man 2, like, I originally read it as Spider-Man 2 had been confirmed to being shown at this thing, but I read also that was I read later that it was just a possibility, and not to hold our hopes up for that, because Sony don't usually unveil games like Wolverine or Spider-Man stuff that they're bringing out, like new games, Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, at these events. They'll unveil them on their own PlayStation showcase or at the PlayStation event, or at E3, or just out of nowhere they'll do it, you know what I mean, on YouTube. So, I mean, PlayStation are marching to their own sort of drum at the moment, their own beat, you know, and I just, as much as I would hope that that's where they could show some of this stuff, I think the most that we might get out of it is like a bit of more of a teaser, sort of like cinematic trailer. I doubt we're going to see gameplay. I doubt we're going to see a deep dive. I just doubt PlayStation are going to be much involved in this with their first party games as much as people would like. You know what I mean? They're sort of, with first party releases, especially things as big as Wolverine and Spider-Man 2, I really think they're going to hold those sort of the bigger unveils of those for future Sony PlayStation conferences. But apart from that, what else do you think that might be unveiled?
I'm not sure. That's most of the things I've heard that they're doing. I think an X-Men game that would be quite cool. It's been a while since we've had a good one. Maybe even like it's a shot in the dark. I don't know if they'll do it, but I'd like to see another Ultimate Alliance style game. That would be a pleasant surprise. But that's just me going, I hope. I have no idea if they'll do that. Well,
look, from how quickly the properties that they did tease on this trailer flashed, like from back in, there's a lot of unanswered questions, even though we kind of have an idea. So, like, even though we saw an alien thing, we have no idea what that is going to be. We saw Wolverine, but we saw like the old looking Wolverine in a yellow suit and all that sort of thing, which is what makes me believe that's going to be the new Skydance Marvel game rather than be the actual Wolverine game, because I think that the new Wolverine game, from memory, in the teaser trailer showed the sort of more rough Logan looking style Wolverine, and so that's why my guess was that it's probably not going to be the Wolverine game. So I'm expecting maybe an X-Men game. I'm expecting everything that was listed there, like Avatar. It's called Frontiers of
Pandora.
Apparently, that game has now been delayed.
As they all have.
And has been delayed not till Avatar 2 comes out, but Avatar 3.
So 2 years away at least.
At least. I've heard. I'm not guaranteeing that. Maybe we can talk about that next episode. I'll look into it a little bit more. But I'm pretty sure I heard the news on that. And I heard that from Sacred Symbols, which is another podcast you should probably go check out, featuring Colin Moriarty, who was a member of Kinda Funny, and Chris Raygun and Dustin Furman, who are also great video game podcasters, journalists, personalities. So go check out Sacred Symbols to support them as well. So, yeah. I mean, they showed off Pixar, like saying Pixar, like, and then in the trailer there was a Monsters Inc. Sort of, you know, thing we saw of Sully, so there could be something related to Pixar. What about Kingdom Hearts? Are you expecting to see anything from Kingdom Hearts related?
Maybe. I think we're going to see some more Star Wars as well. Maybe
that's what I was going to say. Some Jedi Fallen Order, more like the Jedi the new Fallen Order game. Do you reckon that's a possibility?
I think that, as well as they've got that game where it was just some aliens beating drums. Eclipse, I think, something like that. Maybe we'll get an idea of that. And I think there's 2 other games that they've just not really spoken of. So I think we're going to see a little bit more in that regard as well.
And what do you think is going on with them showing Lego Star Wars? Because, as we all know, we just got the Skywalker saga. And I'm a big Lego games fan. I love Lego games. And I got to just come out straight and say that game was a bit of a disappointment. It was very repetitive. It was very boring compared to previous Lego games. And I feel like as much as they tried so hard to do something fresh and new with the Lego game, it didn't succeed. So, I mean, I think it's had soft sales. I think it's like player base has dropped off completely. I know people that reviewed it that were really excited about it and just didn't like it. What do you think that means? Because I've heard that was meant to be the last Lego game we are getting from Traveler's Tale, games, and that any Lego games going forward would probably be taken up by someone else. So what do you think that is? Do you think that's just going to be downloadable content? Do you think that's going to be add-on content? Or do you think that's going to be something else, like a movie they didn't do in the Skywalker saga, added on or something like that? What do you think it's going to be?
I reckon most likely DLC, because it is like not 6 months, if that. April it came out, I think. So 4 months. It's not been out very long, so I think DLC announcement is what we're going to be seeing there.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll all see that when it happens on September 9th, I believe we said. Now, for everyone, I don't know what time September 9th. I actually do know the times country by country, but I suggest you look up the times wherever you're located for when this is going to be. If you plan on tuning in to watch it, it is going to be on every streaming social media platform you could possibly think of that Disney have. So YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, I'm sure it's all going to be streamed everywhere. Twitch. So if you want to watch it and check that out, check it out. It's a bit too late to watch the THQ one, but if you go to YouTube, you can see a lot of the announcements there. By the way, one thing to add to that, I've never really played an Alone in the Dark game. I don't really know what they've been about in the past, but the preview that they showed for Alone in the Dark from THQ Nordic that's being released actually looks really decent and gives me Resident Evil vibes of the new Resident Evil. So like Resident Evil Biohazard, Resident Evil Village. That's the vibes I'm getting for this Alone in the Dark game, Alana. So I suggest if you're kind of interested in that, go check out that trailer because it looks like it has some promise behind it.
I think I will. It's I think it's been a while since it's been an Alone in the Dark game, let alone a good one. So
yeah, I think there was one. I think it was like 2008 or something.
Yeah, long. Yeah, yeah, probably. Yeah,
long time.
Bombed after that.
Long time ago. Well, that about does it for our debut episode of Pop Vultures podcast. How do you think it went, Alanis?
I enjoyed it, and I hope everyone else enjoyed it because it was some fun.
And took me a lot of fucking work too. So, as I said, I wrote all those articles and did all the research, and it took me a long time. So yeah, next week again, we will see you next Wednesday. The next episode will release the same time as this one will tomorrow. So next week, Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And also, ranked and reviewed this week. Friday night, 7:30 p.m. Get your Halloween 4 Return of the Michael Myers ranked and reviewed episode. Along with our Predator 2 review on Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Alanis, you were looking forward to doing these?
Yes, I'm looking forward to watching Predator 2 again as well, because that is, unlike a lot of people, one of my favorite Predator movies.
Well, I'll be rewatching Halloween Return of Michael Myers, Halloween 4, tonight or tomorrow. And that'll go live Friday for everyone. So yeah, make sure you tune in to check it out. As always, I've been your host, Tommy A. West. And as always, joining me has been my co-host, Alanis Maximus. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe, like, and share, and leave a comment, because when you leave a comment, it makes us feel good, which makes you feel good. Isn't that right, Alanis?
Correct.
And we are going to make a promise that we respond to each and every comment that is done on this video. So, with that, we're going to say bye. And we're going to keep on being the vultures we are. And we will see you next week, guys. Thanks for tuning in.